I think we're live. We're back. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Zach. How you doing?
Are you receiving me?
I am receiving you. Are you receiving me?
I am loud and clear
But most
receiving you.
importantly, is anyone out there? Can anyone hear us? We are
Indeed.
broadcasting live.
This is live from Television Centre.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Somewhere.
We're back for another episode, and the difference with this episode is not only, obviously, if you're listening to this on our podcast from Friday, then you'd have missed the chance to see us chatting to each other live in person on what is currently, although it's difficult to talk about dates when we have, if you're going through the back catalogue from a year ago, it being a Wednesday afternoon means nothing. But anyway, we are live, and we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Facebook, and this is our first proper live episode.
Yeah, and anywhere else they'll have us, I imagine, if we go live.
Yeah, we're live in Aunt Mildred's front room. Yeah, although she won't even know that. So welcome. How are you, Mark?
I'm okay, Zach. I'm okay. So what are we going to natter on about this week?
Let's dive in. So this is part of our back to school series. Oh, Alexa's just spoken to me in the background there. That was a bit strange. I think she was answering.
It's not back to school, Zach. It's real life. Real
life. Yeah, the last
mind and your whole persona is back at school, but we've moved on since then. We've actually graduated and moved on. What is the topic today within the real life series, Zach?
We're talking about uniform conditioning, people being the same, the idea that a bit of control, duplication, that sort of thing, which I guess it does start at school, although there is you could argue that it starts the moment you're born. I was recently watching something that said that this guy was saying that you're born into a family that you don't choose. You're given a name that you have no choice over. Obviously, you're a gender, but that the universe is male and female anyway, so that's fine. Then you're placed into your level of society. So if you're born into a poor family, then that's your level. If you rich family, you're born into that. You don't get a choice over it. So in a sense, the whole thing starts the moment you start breathing.
Well, yes, that's true. That's true. Although we don't really think about it that closely until we're at a certain age, do we? Really, no. It's not really in our mindset. It's just something we're aware of, I guess.
Yeah.
But school, as we started our first of the series about school, that was, certainly in our time anyway, well, my time, maybe not true for you, was uniform based, which meant that we all had to sort of coordinate and look the same, not necessarily act or behave the same, but we had to certainly look the same.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is your first starting point of, being homogeneous, where everyone is doing things in a uniformed and organized or semi-organized way. And that does have an impact on our lives, doesn't it, Zach?
Well, it does, because it carries on through adult life for most people, not for everybody, obviously. But if you go and work in an office, it's expected that you wear a shirt and tie. I know it's more relaxed these days, but there's still an expectation within certain fields. For instance, lanyards. You wear a lanyard in your role. I used to have to when I worked for the council, but many years ago, lanyards weren't a thing. But it's suddenly become
ID,
a thing to have.
Well, it's not a thing, it's an ID. It's an ID that it gives you the access to buildings and rooms and equipment and God knows whatever else. But it is a uniformed item for sure. It is the most bizarre thing to have something around your neck wandering around. But anyway, that is for sure a uniformed item. But the purpose of these podcasts, for those of you who really are wondering what the hell are we whittering on about, is the idea of being in your skin but out of it at the same time. So in other words, you are living, breathing, and experiencing daily things, but somehow inside of you, because of a number of factors, such as your family environment, certain maybe traumas or things that have kicked in early on in life, the way you see things, we tend to look at life from an outsider's perspective, looking in. And I've said this before, but for those of you who are just joining us, for me, it was pretty much down to the fact that I didn't feel particularly connected within my family unit when I was growing up. Didn't particularly understand or agree with the kind of double standards that were in place, the behaviours. And I tended to go into my own shell, which is a thing that I've read about, and I'm sure you're all aware of if you can relate to this. And we do that in different ways. And as I progressed through life, I tended to feel that the only way for me was to be somewhere where I really was an outsider looking in, and that way I felt a little bit more at one. And that tended for me to be travel, escape, and working in different countries, so that I genuinely did feel like an outsider, and therefore I could come to terms with the fact that I was looking at life from the outside in. But also for creative types, expressive types like Zach and I, we tend to also feel that we have a story to tell from a certain perspective. And that's where we kind of bring the idea of being an outsider, but we do the communication through expressive and creative platforms. Over to you, Zach. What would you say to that, and how would you describe being an outsider?
Yeah, it's very much as you say. It's feeling as if it's almost like questioning. Certainly, as we're talking about uniformity, questioning why you're doing that, and looking at others and thinking, I don't feel like I'm part of that. I feel a little bit separate. And you notice it. I mean, we talked about rebellion last time, and you notice it in people, certainly at school, when you're learning how to be and you're being influenced by other people's behaviors and opinions. You notice certain rebels when, you know, they don't wear the school uniform the way they're meant to wear it, or they take the tires down the wrong way around or something. A little bit of rebellion creeps in. And I think I liked that. And I have always felt from the moment, for as long as I can remember, that I don't quite fit in to the normal reality, the construct of things. That is being part of an outsider. That's but also in a way, but for years I've been fighting against it, thinking I should fit in and wondering why I didn't. Now, as I'm getting older, I kind of think, well, why? What is it that I'm trying to fit into?
Well, the funny thing is, the irony is that actually back in the workplace again, the irony is that actually all the people I'm working with are all outsiders. I think it's very funny, actually. It's something sort of general descriptor that we came up with, or at least I came up with a long time ago before we started to do the pods, in the sense that I tended to always swim away from the crowd, whilst at the same time attracting the crowd. It was very perverse how it happened. But it's basically a disconnector. There's something inside of us that disconnects or gets disconnected. And it's not until we actually connect within ourselves that then we look at life a little bit more calmly and philosophically, and we're a little bit more together. I suppose growing up, being rebellious is a sign of, you want to break away from the norm, and a lot of people do that anyway. I suppose it's just whether you accept the circumstances you're in or you don't, or you want to fight, rage against the machine, as the old band used to be called.
But there are some people, I mean, I've noticed it in my life where I've tried to do things and learn things to better my life, or to try different things out, to try different ideas. And you're kind of seen as a bit mad because people actually like to be placed into a little compartment I suppose it's a safety. It's coming out of your comfort zone. Whereas I've tried to push myself out of my comfort zone because I want a better life. I want to experience things, and I want to have the finances to be able to do that. And in order to do that, you have to push yourself out of the envelope.
Well, that I disagree with, because I think a lot of people are in work because they want that security and they want to feel that they're part of some kind of unit or something like that. And the people that break away to do things on their own, I think the smart ones do that with a certain element of knowledge, skill, understanding of what they're doing. I think the pandemic period was kind of very informative for a lot of people because it gave us all a chance, an opportunity. And I have to say, I'm so grateful that I did take that chance, because I really would have been kicking myself had I not done all the things that I've been putting on hold, you know. So this, I think, was the birth of the podcast anyway, amongst other things, books, music, painting, and all sorts of stuff from my side. And I know, Zach, you were doing things too. I think it was an opportunity for you to really sort of go back inside and find out, you know, what you're really about. But
Yeah.
The idea of uniform, which is what we're talking about today, is this kind of, I suppose, flag of feeling that you belong and you're also part of one happy tribe, which obviously isn't the case because there's many fragmented groups. But we always talk, Zach and I always talk about football a lot because we have an interest, and obviously football is very tribal, and you've got sort of lots of. And now, of course, with the women's game really opening up, which is fabulous to see. I really enjoy watching the women's game too. But it's good to see that that's one way of sort of describing people joining together under a colour, a flag, a badge, a logo, or whatever, a concept. But then within that group, there's groups. There's the ultras. There's the different types of groups within the group. So yeah, we can look at it as being sort of safe and secure, but at the same time, with all things, it's like the peeling back of the onion. There's many, many layers that go within that.
There is a human need for community. I think it's an animalistic, that lots of animals need a community, and human beings certainly do. So however much we rebel against the system and want to change things, even as an outsider, as you said earlier, you're drawn to certain things. Or a lot of people, like a rock star who is behaving in a rebellious way, still has an army of fans that are drawn to that person's outlook and way of the world.
But that army of fans keeps him secure, because without that army of fans, he's talking to himself.
Talking to a brick wall. Yeah. Yeah. A bit like me in the bedroom.
Keep that to yourself, that. But so basically we do these podcasts to sort of look at life from a slightly different perspective, or discuss life philosophy and direction. Direction is very important in this as well, because sometimes we tend to go off in a sort of on a random route, which can be instinctive, in which case it could be very interesting, or it can be just sort of to adapt or blindly follow, and then it gets a bit frustrating, I think. So life direction, life philosophy, we look at our relationships with loved ones and people in general, and we kind of cover a lot. But you can find a whole backlog of our pods. We've done about a year's worth.
Yeah.
Where can they find us? Maybe you want to share the banner for those people watching, because Zach is our operator of all things technical today.
Technical guru. So we're on. Well, all our back catalogue is on Buzzsprout, and let me just show the link. I haven't got it ready, so I will waffle on while I'm doing it. But here is the. I'm just putting it on now. There we are.
Like Blue Peter.
Yeah.
Something I prepared earlier.
That's where we are.
That's our platform, but of course we're available on all podcast platforms such as Amazon, Apple,
Yeah.
Spotify. You know,
Yeah.
we're on them all. But that's the link you can go to, and you can see all of our back catalogue of all the topics we've covered. Today was a kind of experiment to go live, but we do endeavour to do this on a weekly basis live, so you can also join in. We'd love to hear from you, whether you want to drop a message on our Facebook page or on our YouTube page or email us.
There's our YouTube page. If you're watching us on Facebook, we are at YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, we are on Facebook.
Very good, Zach. Very creative. Yeah. So and you can email us as well if you'd like. But we'd love to hear your points of view, and also we are driven to a certain degree about what your ideas and suggestions are as well. We do like engagement. It gives us a kind of idea of where we're going, and hopefully going down a path that interests you. So we're kind of, that's what we kind of do. Is there anything else, Zach, that you want to add to this experimental experience?
No, I think we've covered everything for this time. So
Zach,
we'll be back. Yes.
What are we going to cover next week? This is what people want to know.
This is what people want to know. Well, next week, according to our in real life list of things, we are looking at paying it forward.
Very
the
good.
Art of gratitude. But one thing I would like to talk about, and I'll discuss it with you now live in front of everybody. I would like to talk, not next week, but maybe in the future, I'd like to talk about aliens in real life. Now you see he's put an alien over his head, like in
it was going so well, Zach. It was going so well, and then you had to come up with something.
There we are. No. Then we'll talk about curveballs. So next week is Pay It Forward. So join us for that discussion. We'll be looking at good deeds, helping others. I think Mark's got a particular story he wants to share, and obviously there's lots of films we can connect to with that as well. Most of which star James Stewart from set in the 40s, but they're all excellent films. So we'll be looking at that and just the art of gratitude, really, and how it can benefit you in life. And I have personal experience of that. So and I'm sure Mark does too. So we'll be sharing that next week. We aim to be here. We are going to be here. There's no aim. Next Wednesday. So keep an eye on our Facebook page for the link and the time that we'll be coming on. We're sort of around this time, and keep going as far as we can. Is that it, Mark? Was there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that was fine. I'm just waiting for an umbrella to come along and Benny Hill style yank you out of the. So we will be, you'll be able to see us on YouTube, listen to us, and on the podcast platforms, and you will be able to join us and actually connect with us on Facebook, on our Facebook page, which gives you the opportunity to meet other interesting people and share your views and everything. We'd love to hear from you. But I think that's it for today. So it's been fun as always, Zach. And thanks very much for listening to all of you. And hopefully you got to see a little bit of what we do. Join us next week. We'd love to see you. We'd love to hear from you. Until then,
cheerio.
Goodbye from him, and it's goodbye from me. Take care. Bye.
Bye.